Hello, space nerds. How you doing? Welcome to another little touch up on the news in Star Citizen. Today I've got engineering for you. So it's been out for a little while in the PTU and they've gotten a lot of testing. And listen, the feedback's good. The feedback is helping. They have a little update for us on what they're doing to change based on that feedback and where things are headed long term. And I think people are going to be happy to see both that they are paying attention and also that they have some plans. Most people are frustrated with the system right now because as it has been dropped into the game, yes, it's broken. A lot of things in Star Citizen do end up being dropped into the game broken. Engineering is one of those things I think you couldn't really get away from because it's so big, but it's also coming in kind of inconsistent. They dropped in certain balance passes with it, then they changed those up very quickly, and now there are glitches that are causing things to break, but the communication means that some people think things should be breaking, while other people think they shouldn't be. So that is causing a lot of bickering and debate. But ultimately, the point of this system is supposed to be to lengthen the time of ships, to allow for more repair and maintenance out on the go, and to extend how ships last in the game. Now, some of their goals have been met, some of them not so much, but the feedback they've been getting has been pretty good. Nevok here, one of the lovely members of the community, has typed out a ton of interesting ideas, one of which I think falls a bit in line with how Star Wars Galaxies works actually, basically taking the wear and tear system and saying that wear and tear only occurs when you do a field repair, and then wear and tear itself is repaired at space stations, kind of balancing and juggling this sort of step-up idea from short to long-term damage and how you take care of those things. Ultimately, this comes from the debate around wear and tear, which at first was misunderstood. It was kind of thought that wear and tear would only be repairable or not repairable at all, which started a big debate surrounding that. But ultimately, I do think it is a good idea to link the wear and tear to the way that we repair our ships in the field, create some thought process about how you're repairing. Regardless, this is just one of many places where people have been putting in feedback on the engineering system. And ultimately, I think most are agreeing that the system has mechanics that feel good, like they're improving the complexity and ability for players to interface with ships in the game, but there's some balance issues, and there are ultimately just some things that they need to figure out in the background. Luckily, that's what it seems CIG agrees on. Niku, who is a community manager, has put out a little update on their forum in the same post actually, just giving us a heads up on where things are headed. This is a couple hours ago as of the filming of this. He starts off by saying, "Hey folks, thanks again for all the feedback on engineering and combat. It's been incredibly helpful for the teams and is actively guiding the balance work for 4.5. We've brought your top questions to the developers, and balancing is in full motion, with several updates already being prepared for upcoming PTU builds. Ships were going down too fast from power plant critical states. This is the first point. This left no time for engineers to react. Fixes have been submitted to make this much less frequent." This was one of the biggest problems I think a lot of people have with this whole system, is that engineering is kind of a way for ships to go from time to kill to time to disable, less explosions, less ships just blowing up and not giving people a chance to escape. And even when engineering is brought in as that system, the power plant going critical would blow up the ship seemingly faster than people really had a chance to realize what was going on. Now, I think that'll change over time as we get more used to these systems and they work correctly, but it does kind of kill the whole point when you just don't have enough time to really say goodbye to your ship and get off. Now, there's a lot to be said about whether we should be able to do that. Like, how much should ships blow up? Obviously, blowing up ships is an easy way to get a kill when a kill is needed for a job's end, but maybe those jobs should require you to board that ship. What is the objective that has you shooting at that ship in the first place? Maybe disabling them and getting them out of the fight is all that's needed so you can get where you need to go. It's like a lot of edge case questions that come from should ships blow up. And I think they want to keep that possibility in the game, but it should be extremely rare. And hopefully with this kind of change, they are acknowledging it should be less frequent, but how much less frequent? I don't think most people should lose a ship more than a couple of times a month, if that. Like, and this is talking Star Citizen 1.0. Think about it in Elite Dangerous terms. No fly without rebuy. Like, you're not planning on losing your ship, but if you do, it's a big deal. And the same should be true in Star Citizen, so hopefully we keep headed in this direction. The second point, repair speed felt too slow. It has already been tripled, and further improvements are on the way. We will keep an eye on it with additional data and your feedback to to avoid making repairs too strong. Main thing that I think this does is it helps avoid the monotony. It's not so bad to do things with a beam. I know a lot of people have like this beam allergy, anti-beam movement. And it's just, I don't think it's really that much of a problem. I mean, it's either a beam or it's a, I don't know, a button, whatever it is. One action ain't that bad, as long as it's surrounded by a whole bunch of other actions, which I think we can all say in engineering, it is. That being said, if you are made to stand somewhere and press a button and hold that beam for more than like 7 to 10 seconds at a time, you're gonna start to notice it. And it's like, oh wait, I'm literally just standing here holding a button down. So I think having it be a repair beam is okay, but having it be one that takes too long is going to really grate on people. And they do have to keep that quick without making it too quick. Not a challenge I'd be wanting to take on, but hey, that's why I'm not building Star Citizen. That and I could not put up with all of this. Hey! The third point, laser and ballistic weapons felt too similar in how they affected shields and armor. Adjustments were made, and we're continuing to monitor and tune these differences. I did not notice this that much, probably because I'm kind of dumb, and I just don't notice those things all that much. I'm not a pilot, all right? I'm the person trying to fix the stuff. Now, that also might mean because they just were too similar, and I'm glad that they're changing them up to make them feel better. Honestly, we've been waiting for armor for so long because it was supposed to make a huge difference between ballistic and laser weapons, so it should be at the point, I think, where even a beginner is noticing, like you should be able to go into wave 1 as a beginner learning how to fight and immediately notice that there's a difference between lasers and ballistics hitting a ship. And that's what they should be shooting for, in my opinion. Don't stop. Don't stop till you get there, CIG. Come on. Shield and armor resistance values will also be reviewed in future builds. Love that word, future. Reminds me of soon, which rhymes with early days. We discovered several system issues that needed to be addressed first before improving how these stats show up on MFDs and the engineering console. So this is a longer term change. Good to see. Armor, I think, is one of the things that needs the most nuance in this whole system. But we also know it's far from being done. They need the Maelstrom system, of course. They need the values and materials that all the ships are made of, which will factor into the crafting of those ships, the upgrading of those ships, and the damage of those ships. So armor is going to take a lot, but I think right now it is very weak and probably needs a little bit of a buff. And that falls in with the next point, which is that shield durability felt too low and mitigation changes were already being submitted to address this. So shields also probably need a bit of a buff. It's interesting. They've just, this system has really exposed ships. It has made much more clear what a ship even takes and what it needs. And that's part of the interesting bit about Star Citizen is we keep discovering new things that have to be considered. This is the kinds of things that people were saying, hey, CIG, you should be building these ships, modeling these ships, making all this stuff over these years with the forethought, the foresight that you're going to have to make this game work in a certain way. And sorry, this is the first time I've watched this happen. So I don't know exactly what the expectation is there, but I can definitely see places where they're suffering from not making better decisions earlier on in the name of these designs. That being said, I'm so glad we're here. I'm so glad we're finally discussing these kinds of things and like tuning the game to actually be somewhat of a game. Man, it feels good. And we're doing it month by month. Different areas, dude. There's more stuff coming to the PTU. The message of the day actually reads that they're doing some changes to shield health increases, armor penetration values, damage cone updates, which is the cone that a gun makes when it impacts your armor, scanning updates, and some kind of experimental feature. Who knows what that is? Maybe that's something with the FPS radar. Maybe that's inventory. Who knows? But I will be returning to you with news on that when it does happen. Either way, this has been a bit of a look into engineering, how it's changing, how it's progressing. They're clearly taking feedback, which I think is healthy. And my metaphor for this, and I think this is a great way to think about it. Tell me what you think in the comments. The cargo refactor came in 3.18, and it pissed a lot of people off because it felt like the game was completely changing. But as time continued and people got back to their normal gameplay, it was kind of realized that most people aren't actually moving that many boxes besides cargo haulers. Now, they have all the right to talk about the cargo refactor, but for most people, we've moved on. You have to move a component here and there, a couple boxes. Maybe you do resource rush and it takes you a lot, but like that is a change that changed the entire game, but focused mainly on one group of people in terms of consequences. This feels kind of the same, but for combat. Everyone's gonna touch engineering. It's gonna affect all of us. It's gonna change the game. It allows for more systems to come online. It allows them to do more stuff with missions and contracts and narrative and just the game in general. It doesn't actually affect people day to day that much though, I don't think. You know, if you get into combat a lot, yeah, but on your day to day just flying around doing stuff, it's more minimal, I believe. And overall, I think this brings a lot more benefits to the game than consequences, but we'll see how it continues to balance. Either way, I hope you got something out of this news update. Thank you so much for watching. You have a wonderful day because you're a beautiful space nerd, and I'll see you in the next one.